A list of mania. Think less but see it grow.
Hello everybody, it is the Gnome and welcome to your April 2018 episode of 10 for 12. The segment once a month where I like to give you guys a top 10 list of my choosing and give you the 10 things within that list that I think are the best. And today we're going to be revisiting a topic that I actually brought to the front a couple of years ago. And it is about the DC Animated direct-to-DVD films. Why am I doing this today? Well, I should have done this a little bit sooner, maybe last year, but I thought that this year would be even better, because as of now, Warner Brothers has officially crossed the threshold of 10 years, back in 2017, of making these films, and in February, we have received our 30th film. However, we did get our 31st this month with Suicide Squad Hell to Pay, and we will be receiving another one before this year's end, and it will actually be the second two-parter film. We've already had one of them. Will it be discussed today? Who knows? But anyway, I thought that it would be cool because of the fact that we have officially reached 30 films in this library. It was only appropriate that I revisited my top 10 favorite DCAU films and let you know what they are. Is it going to be the same list that I had before? Well, you'll be able to see the original video at the end of this one to see if the answer is yes or no, but I will give you guys a little bit of a tease. The number one film is not the number one film anymore. There's a new number one in town. And of course, before I get into this, I do want to mention who will be joining me for the collab today. His name is Adam, and he's from the channel Almost Sideways. He is a fantastic pop culture YouTuber, loves to talk about everything from movies to comic books, whatever, and he is definitely someone that was more than willing to join me on board for this one. But I do also want to mention Bryan Lomax over at Bryan Lomax Movie Talk. He is someone that has been doing the DCAU live shows with me for the last couple of years, and we have been really having a good time, and he was actually supposed to join us for this collab as well, but unfortunately, due to medical reasons, thank goodness he's getting well, he's recovering, he just doesn't have the ability to really do much in terms of making new videos these days, but as he's recovering, he is looking forward because we are going to be doing another DCAU live show in May, hopefully towards the end of the month. So Bryan, I just wanted to say I hope you're recovering, man. I'm really looking forward to working with you as always, and, you know, hopefully the family is giving you all the help and support to getting you back to 100%. But anyway, Adam, I want to say thank you very much for joining me today, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what your top 10 films in this library are. And without further ado, let's take a look at the top 10 DC animated films in my top 10 list. Number 10 on this list is Justice League Dark. It was very refreshing to actually see a second rated R film in this animated film library, especially after the mixed reviews that were received from Batman the Killing Joke. This movie featured Batman having to call on these supernatural anti-heroes to help him solve a new case. And I also kind of feel that this is exactly where Batman truly belongs. I don't know why he's with Superman and Wonder Woman and Green Lantern and Aquaman. These guys like Zatanna, John Constantine, these are pretty much his brood. And to actually see these characters in animation, most of them for the very first time, was definitely a cool thing to watch. This movie is definitely artful, it's grotesque, it's got some very interesting images, not to mention a fantastic voice casting from Matt Ryan returning to play John Constantine. Definitely the highlight of this film. I highly recommend that you check this one out. Number 9 is the complete package of Batman The Dark Knight Returns. It was known as the Big Project, the movie that everyone was always wanting to see, whether it was live action or it was animated, and especially over the past couple of years we have seen elements from the Frank Miller graphic novel incorporated in the recent live action DC films. But this one was from page to screen, and it was done beautifully, with a fantastic cast including Peter Weller, Ariel Winter, and of course Michael Emerson giving me the most terrifying Joker that I ever saw. It was a fantastic two-parter film, which you can actually purchase as an entire film in a deluxe edition. I actually prefer to have it in two parts for my own specific reasons. But it is beautifully animated, it's got an amazing score, and it is definitely one of the best films in this library. Number 8, Batman vs. Robin. After the take on the New 52 universe that is now in these animated films, we got two specific stories, one that involved the Justice League and one that specifically involved Batman. And it began with the son of Batman, with him finding out that he has a son, Damian Wayne, also known as the Fourth Robin, if you don't count Carrie Kelly. This movie was not one of my personal favorites when I first saw it, but when I saw it a couple more times, I really started to understand why this film was so powerful. It's all about walking that line and making those important decisions on how far on the edge do you want to actually teeter before you possibly completely go off of it. And this time it revolves around Damian Wayne. Coming from the League of Assassins and Ra's al Ghul to being trained by his father Batman, Robin really has to face an interesting task, especially when being tempted by the rogue Talon and the Court of Owls. It is definitely an interesting film that intrigues the mind, intrigues fans of superheroes, and also gives us a fantastic and powerful story about coming of age and finding out what you want to be. As I said, it's not one of the first films that I enjoyed in the beginning, but the more I watch it, the more I absolutely love it. Number 7 is Justice League Flashpoint Paradox. It was great to finally see a film that revolved around everyone's favorite speedster, the Flash. And of course, this was what began the DC 52 storyline in the films today. This movie was definitely one that I was excited for, but it was not a film that I expected. This film was dark, this film was gritty, and this film had so much violence and blood, especially towards the end. There were some images that I never would have imagined. With an incredible group of characters, as well as some real treats for DC fans, not to mention a powerfully haunting voice casting of Cary Elwes voicing Aquaman. This movie is definitely one of the more exciting and one of the more action-packed films in the library, and I highly recommend that you check this one out. Number 6 is Justice League New Frontier, based of course on the Darwin Cook graphic novel, one of the most uniquely animated and deepest stories in the library. It is a very cool thing to finally see the Silver Age of comics brought to life in this specific animation, also seeing the evolution of the comic book industry to a certain degree. With a great cast including Kyle MacLachlan, David Boreanaz, and Neil Patrick Harris and Lucy Lawless, we get to see these characters in such an interesting manner, and we definitely get an exciting and fun take on seeing these characters evolve, as well as an extremely deep story with a very unusual villain. It may not be everybody's cup of tea first, but it was also very interesting to see how the comic book characters related to the events of the world dating back to the Korean War all the way to JFK's presidency. Number 5 is AllStar Superman. Not one of the biggest fan favorites for many, but definitely one that is near and dear to my heart. While the story is one of the more tame, and it's not one of the most quick-paced and entertaining, what I appreciate about this film is that it focuses on Superman as a man, and not just as a super entity. This film also captures all of the beautiful things that make Superman Superman, from the lost city of Kandor to Look Up Into the Sky. It also has a fantastic score. It also is a real landmark because it is Dwayne McDuffie's final film that he gave us before he passed away. Even though he did also give us Justice League Doom, this was the last one that he was able to witness when he was alive. It's also got a fantastic animation and color palette, it's got bright colors, it's got beautiful designs of the characters, and it is definitely one of the more original looks and interesting takes on the Man of Steel himself. Number 4 is Justice League Gods and Monsters. This movie is like a fine wine. Every single time I watch it, the better it gets. After Bruce Timm gave the reins of the executive producer seat to Sam Register, Bruce Timm felt that it was time to come back after a couple of decent films. And when he came back, he didn't give us the regular heroes that we know and love. He turned it completely on its head. Based on the Elseworlds DC title, we got to see the three main superheroes, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, in a completely different light, with an extremely dark and complex story, and incredible rich character development. We see DC characters like we never would have seen them before. Not only that, there's an excellent treat by seeing certain characters that had never even been to animation in the world of DC, and that includes William Magnus and the Magnet Men. Number 3 is Wonder Woman, one of the earlier films in the library, and to many, a favorite. This sometimes will even give the Patty Jenkins-directed live-action film a true run for its money. An amazing cast including Kerry Russell and Rosario Dawson and Nathan Fillion, we get to see Wonder Woman's origin story for the very first time in any visual media. It is a fun, action-packed, and even funny at times story, seeing Wonder Woman leave Themyscira, join the world of man, and find out what it takes to actually be a hero for her people as well as all man. It is just a fun and exciting and hilarious at times romp. I cannot recommend Wonder Woman enough. Number 2 is Batman Under the Red Hood. For a long time, this was my number 1 film in all of the DC Animated library. It was a complex story, but not just that, an amazing story for Robin. Taking place after the events of one of the most intense Batman stories in the history of the comic character, Death in the Family, we get to see the events that take place after. With the first time coming of Bruce Greenwood to voice Batman with an incredible performance from Jensen Ackles, as well as Neil Patrick Harris as Nightwing, we get one of the most intense and dramatically driven Batman stories to date. It is a rich and intense and brilliant Batman story. It also has one of the most intense versions of Batman and the Joker, amongst others. That leaves us with our number 1 film in the DC Animated Library, according to me, and that is the 30th film, Batman Gotham by Gaslight. We have seen so many interpretations of Batman, but would you have ever imagined a steampunk Batman hunt down Jack the Ripper? It is definitely one of the most original and exciting and mysterious versions of Batman that I have ever seen in animation. While the animation may not be as great as it used to be, the story and the characters are what truly drive this film. There are so many great homages to The Dark Knight, and so many things that Batman fans will just eat up in this movie. It is gritty, it is so dramatic, it also has one of the better plot twists in all of the DC films. This is definitely one that is going to be remembered for so many years to come, and I have no idea if this one will even be knocked down off the number 1 spot, but let's see what happens when we get to the 40th film. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. It is a pleasure to discuss these types of things with you, anything from movies to music to comic books, and it's always great to give you guys a good top 10 list. But in the meantime, I gotta get going, so please put your comments in the box below. I'd love to discuss any of these films with you, or others that you think that should be in the list, and I will see you in the next one. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. If you're new here and want to see more of what my channel has to offer, please click on the link to my last video, or hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of my uploads. Content of all sorts is posted here quite often, so trust me, you do not want to fall behind. I will see you in the comments, and actions speak louder than words.